Good morning from yammybtv. Wishing you all well today. Sending loads of love. Hoping your day is going to be the best it possibly can. And I'm sending more love to you than usual from down here, from Samson. And I've been thinking as well, which is always a good thing, and reflecting on back in the day and the kind of incidents that happen on a daily basis in an institutional or prison setting, from my perspective, that can affect the smooth running of the wing. So what we're talking about really here is you get let out at certain times in the morning for work, afternoon for work, evening in the cates. I think association times 5:30, quarter to 6 till 7. And during that time where you're allocated out of your cell, there's things you need to do that you can't do in your cell, like laundry, ironing. Them days when there weren't no phones, there's always going to be a queue for that. And your cooking also can be affected. So if there's a fight or a disturbance, you can end up being back behind your door until it's all sorted. And sometimes you don't get back out on association, which would mean all the things you needed to do haven't been done. But again, if the violence or something extreme has happened by way, of an incident where the police have to be called in, then you could be behind your door for days on end, in which case there are a lot of things that are going to be affected, especially the days when there weren't no phones behind the door as well. But the kind of incidents that cause these kind of things are a regular theme in prison. And, the simple solution would be not to do the things that cause all the trouble. But there you are. I guess that's what it brings for some of us. I was party to that for quite some time. But on this one is a very extreme one about how, the effects of the daily running of a wing can be affected by one incident. And it came in the cates, and I might have told you many like this before. It was a party, and it was an MDMA party, which is something like ecstasy, I think. I've done it a couple of times in there. And there was a man from up north somewhere who had a parcel of MDMA but couldn't get it in himself, and wanted and asked another man if he could sort it. The other man said, yes, what's in it for me? All right, I'll give you half if you can get that sorted and get it brought in. He himself, the man that agreed to get the parcel brought in, not the one who was giving the drugs, he had to go to somebody else to bring that in which case he would want a cut as well. So the visit's been arranged. We're all hyper because we're hearing about the MDNA party. Everybody's invited. All the names under the sun are going to be there on such days with the drink, the MDNA. Some don't take nothing but just come to pass through. So you imagine one room or two cells full of men dancing up and down on an afternoon on the weekend, partying, all hugging and love each other, all long term, and some never getting out, but they can find the happiness in that moment. To have a little bit more love and be less cynical or bitter about what's gone on. So it releases all kind of stuff as well. So the visits happened. The man's gone out there to get the parcel, got it, and come back. And then the other fellow whose drugs it is walks over to his man and says, has it come in? The man says, no, it was on top, meaning he couldn't get it in. Next time we'll have it. So the other fellas agreed and said, well, okay then, I'll wait for the next one, but in his mind he's going to be doubtful. So he's going to keep his ears open for the evening because there's nothing on the wing. And if any MDNA comes out, he's going to be thinking, could it be mine? And how right he was. But anyway, they've pulled one on him. They've splitted it their ways and they've gone, well, I don't mean, what can he do? And I wasn't really feeling it, but all I was interested in was the party. So we all went up there to party. And as we're leaving, we're getting our bits and bobs and blah, 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 blah. But I could see the fella whose drugs it was, who's going to feel away now that everybody's partying and it could be on his stuff and he hasn't even got anything. So I could see him loitering with another guy and it's time for bang up, and I'm thinking, boy, this one's not going to end nicely because he's very, very quiet, doesn't say much. But again, on certain days when you're being disrespected and completely violated, we haven't been the violators ourselves. No one should know more what it feels like than us as well, because we're often the perpetrators doing it to other people. But again, you see what these things can cause in prison. So he's waiting, I'm waiting, everybody's collecting their tea on the plastic plates, it's bang up, it's Saturday evening, and I'm looking round to the toilet, and the guy that brought in the parcel of drugs is going to the toilet, in which case I turn my head for a minute. I see the other man whose parcel of drugs it was run up in there And while he's going to wee-wee on the urinal, stab him in his neck, and blood was squirting everywhere. So, you know, I saw the movement, not properly, saw him running out, screaming. He's chasing the man whose drugs it was, who has the knife. So he's having one final go. So he's chasing him out the recess, all the way upstairs, down the landing. And the big fella's trying to run off from him. But just before the end, the man that got stabbed fainted, and he's out on the floor. So everybody's got to get banged up now, and now we know that it's a serious incident. He's lying there squirting, it's close to life and death apparently, and they've had to call the ambulance. We've all been banged up. In which case, in the mornings, in the night or the mornings, you've been banged up, you get a slip saying serious incident, crime scene, sealed off, blah de blah de blah, and they've got to wait for the inquiry to finish, because in that part of the recess, no cameras, so you can't really see that much. So lucky for that bit as well, I suppose, during that time. But again, in the morning now, at that same time as this incident took place, there was a flood as well. Someone got the These are the kind of things that happen that can affect the normal running of everyday life in there, especially a serious violent incident with the police being called. So not only now we've got that, where they've got to investigate the stabbing, someone's banged out their things, and the whole landing has been flooded. So now we have to be moved as well as being banged up. We have to get our kit together, and we have to go to another part of the prison until it's sorted, which will be for about a few days until it's cleared up, and then we've all got to come back onto the wing. But it was a very funny time. I always remember walking to the wings thinking, why do these things have to happen when there's a good thing happening, when it's happening and everybody can be involved? But greed and being a bad man and people not getting what they're supposed to, it's all about, all part of that life and all that goes with it. And like I've said already, you know, if you don't do it, then I suppose you won't be the stabber and you won't be the victim. You know, it's a simple thing like that, really, when you analyse it, because a lot of the things that happen inside that setting are all caused by bad things, by us, that bring on the bad thing, knock effect. The other thing was when people get on the netting upstairs, you know, or downstairs. So we know that you might not get your own way with the staff that day, you know, an application, your missus ain't been cleared, you can't get a number put on, your canteen short, you know, all the things that happen on a day-to-day, even from a razor and getting washing up liquid and blah de blah de blah, can cause someone to have a short fuse and arguments kick off, and cause for everybody to be banged up again while they clear it all up. I know it's not a nice bit, because of the time scale thing as well. You've got to remember. So if that time passes, you can't get back out anyway. So especially if you've got a mission to go on and think, well, you're going to be on, but you don't think about when you've got to go on your one when it's affecting everybody. Do you see what I mean? I was guilty of that. But the netting's another one where people just jump on it to cause attention, or somebody's put them up to it to cause a decoy or something like that, and staff are called and they won't come off the come off the netting. Which is a protection netting, like if you fall off the twos or the threes, you fall onto some wiring netting of some kind that's supposed to save you and be able to hold your strength. I've seen a couple of people fall from those landings all the way down and still end up getting injured. But once you're on the net, it's very difficult to get you off, because, you know, the staff have to sometimes be brave and go on there, and everybody's falling. It becomes a bit of a comedy thing because you can't balance right and that kind of stuff. Or you get listeners or somebody to talk to the inmate to come down, because everybody's being affected. Everybody has to be banged up, because why? One of us couldn't get our own way, and we decide to get the staff back by playing up and causing their attention, but of course ruin it for the other inmates as well. But the most extreme case I ever saw for bang up wise was, we was all in the Cat A's, right? All the names was there. I beg you, someone please remind me of his name. So we're all, do I say it? We were all in the Cat A's, right? And there was a man, and there's many characters like this that you're going to meet along the way, even characters like me, like you, like blah blah. But this particular guy, every single day he comes out of his cell, he's got his legal paperwork, and he stops and talks to everyone and says, look what they've done to me, look at this, do you think this bit's right? Because this happens a lot in prison. You know, you don't want to, not a lot of us want to be rude when people talk to us. You know, if you've brought up well with manners, or, you know, someone's coming up to you and asking you a question, you know, they're vulnerable or whatever, you feel the need to answer sometimes, or give them a simple answer, or make them feel a little bit better. But I notice the more you talk sometimes to men that are going to be want to talk all day about the same things and non-stop, then they think that you're the man that's going to listen. So you've got to pay that price as well. But then obviously you see the same person going up to your mates, asking, what about that bit? But and he just asked you it. You know, it's like that every day in there. And this guy here was a funny one, because he, not funny, because I found it funny, but a lot of people didn't. And some of the big names were absolutely livid and scared as well. So he's basically, I'm talking to him now and again when I'm in the mood, and he says to me, oh, if they keep messing about with me, I'm going to set off a bomb. And I said, oh, God, love me, you won't be able to do that. How are you going to do that? You know, you don't remind me of somebody that'd be able to put that together, kind of thing. But it kept building up, building up, building up for a period of about 2 weeks. And then one day, it was just on bang up, or just as we banged up on association at night. So I can't remember which, but I think it was the laundryman. Some of you remind me. Some big names were there as well. And apparently, allegedly, some liquids of, you know, toiletry, what they call disinfectant and things like that, and margarine, I don't know, the stalk or whatever. Either way, I don't know how it was done, but I know it was something along them lines. And it was put together and put in the laundry room or the cleaning cupboard, and then right on bang up, bang, a big explosion. My God, it made me jump. I had grown men going on their buzzers and pressing it and saying, listen, they want off the wing to get them off, because that sounded like a bomb. Do you see what I mean? It was a bomb, a homemade one, but didn't do no damage. But it was the noise, the bang. But I was laughing there, and I'm thinking, wow, that could never be, you know, because it was a bang. But I would have expected, not that I've been around bombs going off, but it was more like a gun than a bomb. But from where I was a bit further away down the landing, but them lot was nearer, and they were feeling it a little bit more. So we could, as far as I remember, we never got out for that. That was a big bit bang up there. Because such incidents, when they happen in there, you know, you can go missing, then you come out after a week and you go, you all right? It's just like you got bail out in the courtroom. Do you see what I mean? You feel like you've been lost in the wilderness, because you don't get out the door, because the food is being brought to the door. And, you know, it's very, very difficult. And sometimes you might, if it goes on for days, you might have to be let out once or two at a time for a shower. And so it'd be like the block regime, you know. But that was a very serious incident. And I found it funny a lot, never. And I never ever saw him again now. So I don't know whether it was that. But basically, this is my message today, is that all these things are brought on by ourselves. For our bad ways of doing stuff, you know. Even if you do it in a good way in there, you could still be at risk of some kind, but the risk will be much, much lesser than if you're involved in the day-to-day running of the bad stuff in a prison institution. I'll be up very shortly again. I think I've missed a couple of bits on this, but I'll get back to you. Love you dearly.